iPhone 13 Pro is arguably one of the most underrated phones to get today in late 2023. Also, with the release of the 15 Pro, it's gonna be even better than it was so far. And it's actually my favorite phone. Here's why. The design of the phone and the body itself is still top of the line and it looks really premium. It has that stainless steel frame with the frosted glass on the back, and with that also comes great durability. I've used this phone for a relatively long time without any protection, so no case or screen protector, and it held up amazingly well. If you consider my overall level of clumsiness, it's actually impressive. And that is in part thanks to a ceramic shield that really helps with scratch and drop resistance of the screen itself. And while we're on the topic, it has a 6.1-inch ProMotion display with a 120Hz refresh rate and 1000 nits of brightness, peaking at 1200. It's really similar to the display on the 14 Pro. It's actually just a few pixels of a difference. Colors are great, and with the addition of 120Hz to the 13 Pro and Pro Max, it's a really nice experience. Whether that's like browsing social media or watching Netflix, it's nice. And I really like the 6.1-inch size. Max phones are usually a bit too big for me, and the sheer fact that it's almost identical to the display on the 14 Pro, it just says a lot about its quality. Now, the 120Hz on this display do make the phone seem really fast, but what makes it even faster is that A15 Bionic chip that's running the show. And I'm not gonna talk about this too much. It's really fast, like Apple chips usually are. And it's most likely gonna stay fast for a long time. So like games or anything else you wanna do with this phone, you can do it. And if you pair that great performance with even better software support, you can expect this phone to stay fast and up to date for at least another 4 to 5 years. And with the iOS 17 coming out in a few weeks, it's gonna have a lot of great new features to add on top of that. And we can't forget one of the best things about this phone, which is the cameras. Are the cameras? Anyway, it has a triple camera setup on the back, 12 megapixels all around, and all three are really good, but especially that main wide lens with an aperture of f1.5 that's really able to pick up a lot of light to have those photos and videos stay nice and sharp and clean. You also get great night mode, cinematic mode for video, and couple that with ProRAW and ProRes formats for photo and video. It's definitely a full package. I feel like I'm saying this with every iPhone review I make, but cameras on these phones really are top of the line. This phone is still as good as it was when it came out when it comes to the cameras. It can shoot 4K up to 60 FPS, but cinematic mode for the 13 Pro and Pro Max is locked at 1080p 30. So if you are a fan of cinematic mode, just keep in mind that it doesn't support 4K with this generation. So you definitely won't be disappointed with these cameras. If you're someone that wants to get into photo and video on an amateur or a pro amateur level, I guess, this can be a really good choice. Anyway, great camera package. Moving on to the battery. I don't really like talking about screen on time and stuff like that because it's really subjective, but I will say that I'm getting from around 7 to maybe 9 hours of screen on time with normal usage. Just if you plan on picking up this phone used, just make sure you pay attention to battery health, and 80% is when Apple recommends you change out the battery. So either go with the one that has better battery health, like above 90%, or replace the battery yourself. But the battery, like I said, is great. It supports fast charging, around 25 watts, and 15 watts with MagSafe, which is definitely not crazy fast, but all iPhones charge pretty slow compared to some Android phones. That's what you get. And with the 14 Pro and Pro Max having those recent issues with battery health dropping rapidly, the 13 Pro battery looks even better because it doesn't have that problem. And now, one of the best things about this phone, and why I said it's gonna be even better when the 15 drops in a few weeks, is the price, because you can pick this phone up renewed on Amazon for around $800, maybe a bit more, but that's for the 256GB model, and the base 128 model is actually a bit less than that. But once the iPhone 15 comes out, the price on this one is actually gonna drop. So you're probably gonna be able to get the iPhone 13 Pro for around $700, maybe even a bit less. And for that price, you get a really good phone in my opinion. Great cameras, great battery life, performance and longevity, along with all those basic flagship features that I didn't even mention, like the IP68 water and dust resistance, great stereo speakers. Plus, if you're in the US, the 14 Pro and Pro Max, as well as all upcoming models, most likely are gonna be eSIM only, which is great in some areas, but in other areas it can be a drag. This one still has a physical SIM tray, which in my opinion is an advantage. And if you want to use eSIM, it does support that too. And if you're a fan of bigger phones, just go with the 13 Pro Max, because like I said, these phones are basically the same aside from the size difference. I'm gonna leave some affiliate links in the description if you want to pick this phone up for yourself and help support the channel along the way. Plus a few of my favorite cases, chargers, and similar things for the iPhone 13 Pro. And if you are still interested in the latest and greatest Apple has to offer, at least currently, you can check out this iPhone 14 Pro Max review instead. Video over.